Aaron, what up? Where are you? Oops. Hey, what's up, dude? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you, dude.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Let me just
How about now?
Aaron just asked me for a link.
what? I just sent him a link.
Yeah, I know it's not
Hold up, Aaron. I
they
can't
can
hear you.
me,
I'm just
but
gonna
it
promote
says-
you to oh, you can hear?
I
What the fuck?
yeah. You can't start your video because host has stopped it.
Hang on, dude. I'll get you sorted out. Whoever the fuck you are. Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hang on. What the fuck? Hang on, dude. I still can't hear you or anything. It still says
It's
your
all good.
video shut off, and I can't seem to turn it on.
Here, maybe I'll jump back out and jump back in and see if that works. You can't hear me anyway. Oh, you made me the host.
What the fuck? It's really
I am
weird.
the host now.
Can you turn your video on there?
No, it's not letting me do that either. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I could see your video now, but I still can't hear you, dude.
Still can't hear me? This is funny. Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I'm the host now. I am in control. I have the power.
I had to do this with Jesse too, man. The video wouldn't show up. I had to make him a host. I don't know what the fuck.
That's weird. I don't know how to use that. I don't have this Zoom yet. I just have the first package, but
Oh,
cool.
yeah. I still don't even know how to use it properly. Obviously, I still can't figure out how to get people's video out unless they're a host.
Yeah. So what are we chatting about?
Nothing. We were just kind of going through some stuff that people have. We were actually talking about you not too long ago.
Sweet.
Yeah, we were just kind of going over some things recently, asking people about what they've implemented since Jesse was on last time. Yeah, just some shit like that. There was some people. Andrew had a question. And this is a pretty common question, but I figured since you're a boss at answering questions like this, I'd let you throw your take on it. He just asked what's a common way to answer people who are asking for more info on their ad. Andrew's pretty new, but it's probably his first time.
Okay, so as soon as they comment more info, how to respond to it.
Yeah, exactly.
I went through a big learning curve with this, and this is kind of what I've come up with that's been the most successful, and I've stuck with this for probably the last 7 months, 8 months, is when you send your first message to them. So what I do now is, so when they comment on my post, I'll reply back to the comment, because the more comments on your post, the better it is. And then just I change it up every time. So I don't just say message sent, message sent, message sent every time. I switch it up every time. I'll be like, on the way, boss, or sounds good, dude, or whatever, do a little emoji. Then when I send them the first message, I literally, all I say is just, hey, and then their first name with an exclamation mark and a question mark. Every single time, like clockwork. That's how I answer to respond to it. And then right after I do that, I open up my messages to them, and then I'll ask them a question. right? And it's usually something simple. So the reason that I do 2 messages is sometimes when you send the first one, it won't deliver. It could be to do with their privacy settings, or it could just be whatever with your settings. But sometimes the very first message you send, it'll always populate the link to the post that that person commented on. So I'll always just say, hey, their name. And then right after I'll say, so, you know, how's it going today? Or what are you up to? Or how was your long weekend? Or, you know, how was your Thanksgiving, depending on when it was? Or how was the Conor McGregor fight? Did you go watch the fights? You know, just something like that to find common ground with the person. And then from there, I go into asking them questions. I say, hey, are you cool if I ask you a few questions before we dive into the details, just to see where you're at and to see if we would work well together?
Yeah, that's a good technique. Like, obviously, even when Jesse was out here the other weekend, everybody has a different kind of style. There's no one right way, but it's you got to find out what works best for you. I like Aaron's way for sure. That works. That definitely works. I think the important thing is just trying to finish off with questions all the time to keep the person engaged, right? As soon as they drop off with that or they take control, you're kind of fucked. But you mentioned the 99 before he calls.
With what I do, I take them through a full questionnaire kind of thing. So in my questionnaire, I literally have questions like, how much money do you make yearly? And, you know, how it's structured is I go, what is your 12-month income goal? And then I say, how far are you away from achieving that? So by doing that, I see how much they're making. And then I ask them, you know, how much are you willing to invest monthly into your own business, right? And give them options with that, give them ideas. So I don't necessarily say that it's $99 to get started before I get on the phone with them, but I know that they're willing to invest money monthly and that they understand that it is a business before I get on the phone. So
yeah, and I mean, lots of people in here aren't even really at the point where they're jumping on their own phone calls yet, right? But definitely, if you guys are at that point, that is some good advice. It's kind of like a pre-screening you guys can do prior to jumping on a call. We've kind of talked about this before, just so you're not really wasting your time too much. But it's hard. Like, even what Jesse had mentioned too. I mean, he doesn't really rule out anybody. For me personally, I usually do a bit of a screening process, just because I don't have the time, man. It's just like you can't be talking to every single person on the phone. When half just have no interest on moving forward with anything, and they're just kind of there to kick tires, right? But
yeah, when I started, I gave everyone equal opportunity and explained to them the $99 and what's in play with that, whether it was through Messenger or whether it was through voice messages. That's a very powerful way to do it. If you guys are working towards wanting to do a $99 sales call, I mean, it's not for everybody. But if you really fine tune it, it can be very powerful. And like what Garrett says, I'm in the same boat where I really qualify now because I'm at a point where I'm getting a good amount of leads. So I want to make sure I manage my time as best as possible. It's like those income producing activities, right? Making sure you can fine tune those. But when I got started, it was absolutely everybody. Just to get my ball rolling, get the motivation, getting Big Mo. By the way, I read the whole Compound Effect last night.
Did you really?
Start to finish, yeah.
Fuck up.
Seriously, it took well, what time did we get off the Webby? It was like 8:30.
Yeah.
So I started at 9 and I finished at about 2 a.m.
That's awesome.
Got her done, dude.
You're actually going to do it, man. That's impressive.
Well, I said it, so I had to hold myself accountable.
That boy. It's a good book, right?
It's good, man.
Yeah, I like that one.
Really good.
That's fucking
yeah, Big Mo. It's all about getting Big Mo on your side.
No doubt. That's right, man. It's super important. That's what I was talking about yesterday in the webinar. You didn't know what I was talking about really at the time, but now you do. Yep. It's really important to continue with that momentum and not lose it, because it can be hard to build it back up sometimes.
Yeah, once it's up, that's a good way that I have explained it in the past. It's like It's like building a snowball to roll down the hill. You got to work and work and work to get the ball big enough to start rolling. And then once it starts to roll down the hill, you just give it a little boot and it just keeps going.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Builds and builds and builds. And if you guys haven't read the Compound Effect, I suggest it. It's pretty small too. Like you can read it in one night, like Aaron did, if you want.
Yeah. And I'm not a good reader.
That's why I'm extra impressed that you fucking powered through it in one night, man. That's crazy.
I went through about 3 cups of coffee.
That's sick.
Yeah.
My goal has been to read 2 books a month, so I'm gonna have to like really step it up because I'm not on that level just quite yet.
Yeah, I definitely need to do that too, man. It's one of those things. It's been in the back of the head that I've never cycled it up to my top of my priority list, but it needs to be.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's kind of where I'm at, is trying to make it more of a priority. Kind of like 1 book a month kind of guy, but I feel like I should be doing more than that.
I'm at a total, like, as fully completed books. That was my number 3.
Oh yeah.
I've started lots and got 3. Like I got the 4-hour work week looking at me right now. I'm about 2/3 of the way through that.
Yeah.
Right.
I used to just the internet for starting, man. I've started so many books.
Yeah. But I'm changing it up because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, right?
That's right, man. That's right.
So,
What else we got here? So do you guys have any questions for Aaron? Like, in my opinion, Aaron's full of knowledge. I think his real strong point is definitely closing people on the phone and things like that, and really being able to relay information in a way that people can understand it. So if you guys have some questions for him, please fire them off and take advantage of it. I know some people have lots of questions as far as closing people on message and closing people on call. So if you have questions like that, Aaron's your guy for sure. And like I said, closing people on the phone is not for everybody, but it can be a really powerful tool if you know how to do it properly. You just got to be prepared to fuck up quite a few before you really get the hang of it. And not even fuck them up. It's just it's just learning experiences every time, right? You take a bit away from each, and and this is like, so Aaron spends a lot more time on the phone than I think the average person too. So he goes above and beyond for sure.
Yeah, sorry. I totally lost track of time because I didn't see a link come through, but that last one went like an hour and a half. But that was a product sale. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's powerful to be able to when you can do a call like that and actually bring value with it too. It really smooths a lot of things over with whoever you're talking with, right? Sorry. Any questions popping up yet? Sorry.
On average, how much time will you spend on the phone with each person?
If it's a $99 sales call, I got it down to about 20 to 25 minutes. And it's usually just me talking the whole time. I basically, in a nice way, tell them to shut up and listen. Because I'm going to answer any questions that they have, and that's, like what Garrett was just saying. When I started doing calls and doing that type of thing, I got asked so many questions and didn't know how to answer them properly. So I learned a lot. Like, I've heard every question that people have. So I've managed to build like not a script per se, because it's all in my head, but exact points that I cover and the reason why I cover them, and have a bit of structure to every call. So it's about 20 minutes or so to 25 minutes.
Yeah, it's good to just like make sure that they don't get to the point where they're asking you all the questions and you're just kind of sitting back and just answering questions the whole call. Because like I said, once they start gaining that control and they feel like they're the one directing the conversation, it's really easy to lose track, to have them convince themselves that it's not a good idea, as opposed to you having control and kind of subtly steering them towards the right questions and things like that, so they can get the answers they want to hear, type of thing. And it does take practice for sure.
Yeah, and that's the power of even when you're doing it through Messenger or if you're doing voice messages, that's, like what Garrett's saying, always finishing everything off with a question. Even if they ask you a question, answer it quickly and then hit them right back with another question.
Yeah.
Always be finishing everything with a question. That's how you can control a conversation, because they have what they want what you have, right? So as soon as you can make that shift in your head, that was a big shift that I struggled with getting started. Was in my eyes when I got started, it was like, I need to get sales. That was my main focus. And by doing that, I was always putting that person either on the other end of the messenger or the other end of the phone or the Zoom meeting or whatever I was doing. I was always putting it and looking at them like, okay, what do I have to do to get this person to buy, right? Thinking that they had what I wanted. But as soon as you can shift it around and realize that you're the one that's in authority, right? You're the one that has what they want. So treating it that way and positioning yourself in that way will help control the conversations as well, right? Because you didn't reach out to them, they reached out to you.
Yeah.
Right? Always remember that point. They're warm. They want it. And human nature is going to just, if you allow them to be asking all of the questions, they're just going to create a big feedback loop, and they're going to start asking you questions and you're going to start answering them. And they're just going to ask questions to the point where they convince themselves out of it. Right? Because that's their main goal. They're in their head, they're stacking up evidence to prove to themselves that this cannot be real or this is too good to be true or whatever. So the whole time, every question that they're asking is to stack up evidence on why they shouldn't do it, because there's a big piece of them that wants to do it. But of course, there's also a little piece that's skeptical of doing it. Right? And if you let them ask the questions and let them stack the evidence up, that piece of them that's skeptical is just going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger until it gets bigger than the other piece, and then they're fucking gone.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to explain it?
Definitely, man. Have you guys seen a trend of biggest months, November, December, January? Honestly, I can't really speak too much on trends because this will only be my second November that I've been doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard to say. I can't remember what I made last December, but I can't really remember, to be honest. December was decent. From what I've heard from the people who have actually been in the industry for a lot longer than I have, they say usually start of the year is big. December kind of drops off because people are focusing more so on Christmas and family and buying gifts and things like that. But New Year, people are coming in with New Year's resolutions. Everybody wants to make a change and do something different. So that's when it kind of booms. So first quarter of the year is usually, from what I hear, from people that have been doing it for a while, is usually kind of some of the bigger months for people. But honestly, I haven't really been able to find a really too much of a trend that I could say that I could really speak to at this point in time. I don't know. What about you?
Personally, it was a lot to do because I'm in the same boat. This is still my first year going around. I heard that getting closer to Christmas, ad space is a lot more full because of all the big companies marketing for Christmas. So I have been told that, if you've had an ad performing last month, let's say it was getting $2 to $3 leads, and then you start going into, December and they start going to $4 to $5 leads kind of thing. Lots of them say that it can be expected just because sometimes it costs a little bit more to get the reach. Doesn't mean that it's going to be a big month or a little month, right? Mm-hmm. The big months and little months, in my opinion, are totally dependent on the person that's running the business, right? Yeah. You can have, I've had huge months with low ad spend just because of how I was approaching my business, right? And we talked about this big in the Webby on Sunday or yesterday, right? Yeah. Where, it's really just how you're carrying yourself in your business, which creates those big months. And, Jesse had massive month, and the month after it went, right? Just because the way he was carrying himself had nothing to do with the time of year, just had to do with how he was showing up. And Garrett had the same thing when he went traveling. I've had the same thing my first big month, and then I crashed right down after because I was carrying myself different, right?
Totally.
So
I touched on it last night. I'll just mention it again quickly. Is if you guys are setting goals and things like that, it's really easy to hit those goals and have nothing else planned after that. So that's when it's easy to go stagnant. That's when it's easy to start to coast, to get comfortable, and then honestly, it won't be long before you start falling back down. So you got to be really diligent with your goal setting and set something that's attainable, and then have something after that. You have small goals, you have big goals, you have short-term goals, you have long-term goals. It's important to have something after the fact. If you hit a goal, that doesn't mean it's time to coast. It's just time to set another bigger goal. And this is something that I did. It's something that I think all of us have went through. You hit those big months and things like that, and then all of a sudden you get comfortable, and then things start to slip a little bit, and you got to kind of check yourself. Does Aaron have a recorded class? Oh shit! I think you're muted, dude.
check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Before you wreck yourself.
As far as a recorded class, what do you mean? Like a sales class? I don't have an info product. No.
Maybe you should make one, man.
Yeah, maybe I should.
Do classes.
Start running classes. Call. Yeah, I do have some recorded calls. I can pass Garrett one of them if they're still.
I showed them one of your calls. It's somewhere, but
do you have it from the JGL event?
I have one somewhere. I have one kicking around on my phone.
Let me know if you want another one. I might have a few saved still. I think I don't know if I have any $99 calls in there anymore because I've been focusing so much on coaching calls. But
talking about that.
Yeah.
What's your call?
Oh, it's an app called Tape a Call.
Okay, yeah, that's what Jeff had mentioned. Tape a call.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think it's like something like, it was like 11. I'm pretty sure it's $11 a year.
Oh, really?
But if you're going to use it, it's either $11 a month or $11 a year. I guess it's a big difference, but for some reason, I think it's a year. But if you guys are going to use that app, make sure you're fucking doing due diligence. And don't just start recording calls without informing the person that you're recording it, because you can get in some big shit. So, yeah, if you're going to record calls, be sure that right at the beginning of the call, you say, hey, are you comfortable if this call is recorded for quality and training purposes or whatever? Is that cool with you? Right? Always make sure that they know they're being recorded, because if they don't know, you can get in big trouble there.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought of that.
So that's something I dug into that, because I know we were looking at getting conference lines and stuff, and that was one of the issues that popped up.
Gotcha. There was one up here too.
How do you record your calls? Yeah, that's how I do it.
You close on the phone, send by link, and walk them through, or send it after the call?
Depends. Now in the position I'm in, I have changed things because I don't push as hard anymore. I'm using it as a tactic, I guess. But when I was pushing and closing, definitely walked them through on the phone if I could. Once I was done with my spiel, I would be like, so when you want to get started? We can do it right now if you want. It takes 5 minutes. Right? And then if they come up with an excuse, I would usually attack the excuse. If they're like, oh, no, I just got to think about it. And then I would say, well, what do you got to think about? Right? And kind of put them on the spot. And then I would send them the link through Messenger and walk them through it. And this is a powerful point to bring up, I believe, in my opinion. Once you do that, okay, so the two scenarios. So if you're going to pass the buy button while you're on the phone with them, explain and justify why you want to do it while you're on the phone with them. And this is a good way that I've come up with it, is just by explaining to them, well, we can do it right now and we can be connected on the phone. That way I can make sure that when you sign up and you go through, that you're coded into the system properly and that you get your call booked, and don't have any issues with that, and to make sure that all of your coaching material is laid out for you. Right? So by justifying it, now they're like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense why you want me to go in right now. And then it'll pull away that feeling like they're getting pushed. right?
Totally.
And then also in the other scenario, if they're like, oh, I got to think about it, you say, well, what do you got to think about? It's $99 to get started. And, and then if you have to pull the card, which I mentioned at the beginning of the call, just kind of subtly, that there's a 14-day refund. I don't push and try to sell it, but I like to bring it up just so to do my due diligence. But if they're really like, I don't know, and it's not because of a financial reason, it's just because that they're maybe just a little bit nervous or trying to come up with an excuse, you can say, well, you got nothing to lose. You got 14 days to get a refund. That $99 is just a really good filter for us to make sure that the people that are getting involved are actually committed to starting their own business, right? But you got 14 days to get a refund. So all you got to lose is about 3 hours of your time to go through the coaching process, right? So explaining it that way, if they still say no, they're not quite ready yet, or they say, this is the big common one that I get. They go, well, just pass me the link right now, and then I'll take a look at it in a bit, or I'll take a look at it tomorrow, or I'll take a look at it on the weekend and jump into it. Yeah. Don't fucking send it. Just keep them hooked, right? Because by doing that and sending it to them, then they just sit there and they look at it, and they'll put it aside, or they'll open it up and then they'll start researching Global Affiliate Zone or whatever. So now they have a piece of information they can leverage. And lots of guys try to do that just so they can leverage that. So if they go, well, just send me the link and I'll take a look at it later, say, no, I'm not going to send you the link until you're ready to go. So when you're ready, just shoot me a message, get in contact with me, and then I'll make sure that we're on the same page so I can walk you through it, so I can make sure that everything is set up for you in the back office, that you have your call set up properly, X, Y, Z. And you can even justify that if you want, if they don't understand. One way that I've said it is, well, if it's 2 a.m. and you decide you want to fucking jump in, and you click on the link and you dive in, and something doesn't get set up for you properly, then there's a chance that you might start feeling nervous. So I want to make sure that you have everything laid out for you, that you have me online, so there's no issues moving forward, right? So you still hold on to the power that way. Because, what you can do if they're like, well, no, then from that point, you can be like, no, I'm going to hold on to the link for now until you're ready to go, and then I'll walk you through it to make sure that everything works. What you can do, though, is I'll pass you a link so you can sign up for a workshop, right? And you're more than welcome to check that out. Now you know that they're going to be coded to you if maybe 3-4 months down the road they decide they want to get going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good call. Definitely. If you guys can, if you're sending buy links or the direct checkout and things like that all the time, just to be safe, it's good to have them register for the webinar regardless, so that they are coded to you. Because if they decide if they get in contact with you and they're chatting you up and you send them the buy link and they don't buy in for a month, and then in the meantime they're going through and they're seeing other videos pop up and they register for somebody else, and then all of a sudden they use your buy link to start up, and boom, they're coded to somebody else. They're gone.
Yeah. So
right?
Always inform them that it's worth signing up. You can figure out different ways to kind of explain that too, right? You could rate straight up if you have a good connection over the phone with them. Then you could be like, well, what I want you to do is I'm just going to pass you a link just to make sure that I'll 100% be your main coach moving forward with everything. So I'll pass you the link. You can register. Feel free to watch the workshop. It'll send you can watch a replay right away usually. If you don't want to watch the workshop, just take the 2 minutes and fill it out. That way we can send you updates via email, right?
Yeah, and a good thing too, guys, if you guys are sending people to the webinar, a good thing that I usually do when I send people the link, I'll be like, literally, this is exactly how I'll word it. I'll be like, we have a free information workshop coming up. If I send you the link to register, would you like to check it out? Usually they say, yeah, man, that'd be sick. Like 9 times out of 10, they say yes. Then I send them the link, say, okay, cool, here's the link to the register and save your spot. Also, once you register, you'll have the option to watch a replay if that's easier, just so that they're aware, because lots of them watch the replay right then and there. And then you can avoid a lot of people who, come up with excuses within the next day or 2 days before the live webinar, or before they talk themselves out of it, or before something comes up that's during the time of the live webinar, and then they never see it ever, right? So I usually try and definitely mention the replay, and I almost try and push the replay, honestly, sometimes to watch the replay right then. So that's what I would recommend. It seems a lot better than relying on the live webinar, which can sometimes be two days ahead of time, right? If you message them on Friday or something like that, then it's 3 days before they can actually watch a webinar. And lots of times by that time, they probably aren't going to actually watch the webinar unless you're keeping contact with them.
Absolutely. How do you answer the product and company question on the phone? Oh, I love answering that one. This is a really good way to position yourself too. I mean, it took me some time to build up the confidence with this, because people would ask me that question when I first got started, and I'd just be like, I wouldn't know how to answer it. I'd be like, blah, and I'd tell them everything about it. And I'd fucking puke it all over the place. But this is what I do now and how I explain it. And it's actually because it's 100% legitimately true, is I'll even cover that in my talk that I do. I'll mention about the affiliate. I'll mention about top tier affiliates. I'll mention that some are required to purchase a product in order to become part of their marketing plan and earn commissions. And then I just word it, to make sense with it. I'm like, for GoPro, for example, we don't market GoPro action cameras, but in order to affiliate with them, you're required to own or purchase one of their best products in order for them to pay you. So it's kind of like, you want us to pay you for marketing our shit, then you better at least own one and use one, right? And then I'll go into, so we target top tier affiliates as well. We have one in specific right now, but I don't get into the details with that over the phone. And it's literally not because I want to keep it a secret. It's just because I've done it in the past, and it takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours to really break it down for you, because it opens up a whole can of worms to make sure you understand it. And, I want to respect your time, and I also respect my own time, because in the past I've gone through that, and I'll get 45 minutes into an explanation, and the guy on the other end will be like, so what's the thing for the stuff and the other thing? And I'll be fucking pulling my hair out like, seriously, you're not listening? So I don't even waste my time with it anymore. It's not that I want to keep it a secret. It's just what we've done now is we've actually put it in the coaching material. So when you go through that 3 hours, it's going to break it all down for you. It's going to be visual, so you can see it right in front of your face and hear it. You're going to be able to write notes the whole time, and you can fucking watch it over again. So that way you're going to get the most value out of it as possible. And I'm not having to explain it to you first, so you can just watch it again. Right? So by doing it like that, everyone's always like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. And then it's dropped completely. They don't even ask. I've had the odd guy be like, so you can't tell me what the product is? And I'll be like, well, it's not that I can't tell you, I can. But honestly, dude, and no offense, I don't want to waste my fucking time. So, and explaining it like that and throwing a little humor into it, they drop it right away.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that, man. That's good.
So, and then even just leveraging that $99 and saying, even saying it like this and being like, I do have, and position yourself with it, right? A big thing that I do at the beginning of my calls is I tell them what I'm worth an hour. And that kind of makes them, okay, I better listen. At first for a while, a really good leverage point that I did, and it just depends on how comfortable you are on the phone, right? And how confident you are. But at the beginning of the call, every time I'll build a little rapport. I'll be like, hey man, how's it going? What are you up to? Oh yeah, I heard that you're into sledding or you work oil and gas. Oh cool, I used to too. Awesome. Cool, you ready to dive into the details? They'll be like, yeah. We're like, okay, first off, what I want to get right out in the open, just so you understand, is obviously I'm not charging you anything for this phone call, right? And they'll be like, yeah. I'd be like, but I used to say go for $100 US per hour. For informational sessions, for Facebook tactical calls, whatever you want to utilize with that, and then say, but a big part of what I'm going to explain to you throughout this call is a system that I leverage that creates a lot of automation and infrastructure for my business that you'll be required to leverage as well in order for me to teach you how to use this. Now it's going to cost you $99 to get into that system. Now, once you get into the system, I'm not going to charge you 90 or $100 an hour for calls. My time for you is completely free to you, because now it's showing me that you're committed. And from that point moving forward, it's in both of our best interests for you to have as much knowledge as possible. So you position yourself with it, you say, and then, from there I'll say, and, another big reason that I have that in place is literally to eliminate tire kickers and people that are just wasting both of our time, right? Because I do have a lot of people that reach out to me daily. I do have people that are willing to pay that to get on the phone with me, whether they're in the business or not. But I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer. If you want to learn, just go through the system that we have it all set up for you to learn anyway. And then my time for you is free. So, structuring it that way kind of, they'll be like, okay, well, that only makes sense. Why the fuck would I pay you $100 an hour to talk to you when I can just go into the system and see it for myself? Right?
That's really good too.
So, but yeah, how do you answer the product and company question on the phone? Yeah, that's kind of what I use with that. Get that off.
Pretty much it.
Cool.
Awesome. That was good. It's past 8 now, guys. Doesn't look like there's any more questions. So thanks a lot, Aaron. That's some good shit. I'm gonna even use some of that myself. So I hope you guys have taken some notes. I'll post a replay of this as well. Thanks for popping out, Aaron.
Yeah, dude. No problem. Anytime.
Yeah, bud. Anyways, we'll pop off here because it's a little past 8 o'clock. So I'm sure some people are in here from the East Coast too. So it's a little late. But yeah, thanks for popping out, guys. Thanks again, Aaron. Hopefully you guys can implement some of this stuff ASAP. Try and get that out there and try and start to work on some of these things you're learning in these webinars as soon as possible, because that's really where you'll start to see results.
Yeah, money loves speed.
That's right. And I'm going to go lay on the couch for a bit.
You sound like you got cold a little bit still.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Have a good night. Peace out. Later, Aaron.
Peace, man.